All right, welcome back
Here
to
we
episode 4 of the Strength Shop in beautiful Tyndall, Barbell.
Tyndall, Manitoba.
Tyndall, Manitoba.
Do we still need to introduce ourselves? Or people know us by now?
No, safe and sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I'm Andrew Langlaw, pro strongman.
I'm Gord and Andrew, aspiring strongman. I have some accolades, but
Heavily accomplished lightweight masters athlete.
Yeah.
Overshadowed by his wife's constant success.
Number 6 in the world. Blah,
Yes,
blah,
Manitoba's
blah.
strongest woman, 2024.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, this isn't about her.
This isn't about her. This isn't her podcast.
Exactly.
Mine.
But
Ours.
depending on how the Arnold's goes, it might continue to be about her.
No, I'm going to beat her.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah.
All right.
It's the only-
Well, as it sits now, I believe we are 14 days out from the Arnold's.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what's today? Sunday? Monday.
Monday.
So I compete on Sunday and you compete.
I compete
Saturday.
We are 11 days out.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's getting getting tight.
Yep.
I started my taper today. I know you're still pushing pretty hard for the next week.
No, that'll be pretty much it now.
Pretty much it. Okay.
Yeah, we hit that heavy log. I don't know if he's planning on one more log day. And
Given the lecture you got, I don't think
I
so.
got a bad one. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, 270 for 3.
Yeah,
That's
that's like
pretty
beyond whatever
massive.
I could ever comprehend. My goal years ago, like 2 years ago when I started playing with log, was like I was pushing 200, and I was like, if I could press 275, that would be like wild.
Yeah.
And here I am pushing
Here you are
270 for 3. So now that's one thing we can talk about is goals, like how goals that we've had in the past and goals that we can come up to now, because now you're constantly realigning your goals and pushing them higher and higher. I kind of didn't think I'd get a chance to push my goals any higher, just because.
That's a fair thing to say. Yeah. I mean, I know we were saying before we started recording there about like when did strength become important to you. I mean, I've been lifting for a little over a decade now because I started lifting in high school. So probably 2013, I was, doing the classic bicep curls and shoulder presses and just trying to look jacked and not be
Easy curl bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Skull crushers.
Yeah, the basic stuff. And then, started training for high school sports, doing more like kind of CrossFit, athletic development sort of stuff. And then got into strength probably mid-2014, early 2015.
That was when we started too, I believe.
Well, at Centennial, Andrew Runcaden grabbed me. Shout out the Natty Daddy.
We got to get him strong, man.
Well, he pulls sumo. And he's got like
we can convert him, because if I can get converted, anybody
it's
can get
true.
converted.
He's got like a lagging hamstring knee issue though, so conventional is like really because
It was impossible for me.
He had the old ACL reconstruction where they take like the tendon from somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
So it's like it's actually a thing where like it causes pain.
Right.
So he might have a hard time with it, but you should do it.
Yeah, he should do it,
He's got
definitely.
jacked enough upper
He's
body.
strong.
He could press overhead. So
What's his body weight usually?
he's an 83 kilo.
83 kilo.
Yeah. So dude's
Yeah.
diced though.
So if he could get to U80, it'd be
Yeah.
U80 and his weight and his strength, he would be a menace in U80.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No. He's got strong legs.
He's got strong legs. He's a smart, like talented lifter.
Yep.
I think he could do really well.
Probably. And he's in the masters.
Hopefully we can get
division,
some power lifters into strongman with.
I think so.
Because there was just those like lagging unknowns. If people compete in strongman, can I compete in IPF? And I feel like that's pretty clear now. No?
It's pretty clear now. If
they
you're
can?
unaware, Article 14 has now been clarified where it's specifically referring to the WRPF and other powerlifting federations, which I don't love. I'm not a fan of any regulation that limits competition for the athletes. I think that there's the reason strongman events have continued to get better is because promoters, for lack of a better word, fight amongst each other to make the best show.
Right.
And right now, I don't think there's anyone who's well connected to strongman who honestly thinks that World's Strongest Man is the pinnacle anymore.
Right. No, I agree with you.
I'd say right now,
It's slowly
honestly,
getting passed by the people that are more focused on the show. Because World's Strongest Man, I feel like, was more focused on the strength aspect, not so much promoting.
for a
I
while.
feel
I mean,
like
it started
they
out
promoted
being
it wrong.
a show.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Like,
It's a show. It's a
freak
circus act.
show.
Yeah, no question there. But it was about the strength of that person. And now it's about money, which a lot of stuff is. So, and maybe they're falling behind on the money aspect because they don't make it easy to watch, because they're taping it and not showing it. By the time they do release it, we already know who won.
Yeah,
I've seen all the clips. Why would I like get excited to watch it when I've already seen it all?
Well, and the thing, I think the thing too, and this is not, I think it's great that the sport is becoming more of a sport and that there's you had companies like Rogue and everyone else jumping in making equipment.
Yeah.
I think it's great to have standardized
Making equipment
measures.
that's beautiful.
Beautiful equipment.
To making it a spectacle, people
Yes.
wanting to watch it.
But I do question if the lack of novelty. I think that was part of the fun thing about the old World's Strongest Man is like the sausage hold or whatever. And it's like ridiculous things where you're like,
Yep.
I genuinely don't know who's going to win this.
Because I don't even know how heavy that thing is.
Right? Like, I don't know how heavy it is. I don't know how it's balanced. I
Yeah,
don't
they're
know.
grabbing fire hydrants. And,
Yeah, it's just weird, awkward things. Like
Yeah,
I do like it when
those
they have like the
boxes.
odd loading medleys, but even then it's like a tire. I'm like, put a washing machine out there. Or
Yeah.
something, like just something weird that these guys have to like think about for a second.
Yeah.
Because
And not
at
let
that
them know.
level,
It is fun. Like Devin was throwing in some mystery events or whatever, and that was kind of fun. You show up and it is what it is. You know,
But
you can't train for it.
Where I'm going with that kind of is like it's great that it's standardized, but at the same time, we're looking at the Arnolds. We pretty much know who's going to win each event,
Yeah.
right? Like Lucas Haddon's probably taking the pressing.
Yep.
Thor's going to take the deadlift.
Yep.
Hooper's going to be really strong in the loading races and
everything.
everything. Like
Yep.
you generally know who's. And if you had just some of those weird events, I think it just shakes it up a little bit.
Yep.
Like the Wheel of Pain. Like
The
who's
Wheel
going
of
to win
Pain,
that?
yeah.
No one knows.
I'm curious how they're going to move that thing around. They're going to, because it's not a huge platform. Like their area that they have to work with isn't big, so you can't just.
They don't have the Wheel of
it.
Pain this year. I think
No, the Wheel of Pain was in for the Arnolds. I thought.
not this year. No, frame. The frame up the ramp is in the
I know the frame was, but I thought somebody. I thought I read. I might have to.
No,
double check
I think
on
they
that,
were
but
talking about it.
The Wheel of Pain came up
Yeah, I think that was
for a show.
It might have been Lucas and Alec just talking about the Wheel of Pain being a cool implement because I watched the same podcast. I think.
Okay,
But, it is a cool implement, but I think when they did that, it was on the ground somewhere.
It was,
Like,
yeah.
a more open stage. So
Yeah. Was that Arnold's or was that
that was
Rogue?
Arnold.
That was Rogue.
No, that was Arnold.
You sure? Okay.
Yeah, Martinez.
I have no facts.
Because that was Nathan was telling us
Yeah,
about it. The seminar.
Martinez. Yeah, with this blood sugar, blah
yeah.
blah blah. Yep.
But yeah, back to the conversation, I guess. Andrew, get into strongman.
Yes, please do. Among
yeah.
other people,
Yeah.
like Janet Sitar.
Yeah,
she was chatting about wanting to do it, but the fear of the IPF becoming a problem. Not only at local events, but becoming a problem for her. She has aspirations for nationals and those worlds competitions and whatnot.
And to be fair, granted, if you're a world's level competitor, don't come over.
Right.
Well, honestly, don't come over.
Yeah.
Like, specialize in what
Well,
you're
that's
doing.
like, yeah, that is similar to the situation we're in now that we're competing at these higher level events. Can we do lower level events? Because it doesn't fit always with how many events you're going to do a year. So now I really have to think, especially after listening to Alec, I have to think, okay, well, it's not even me, it's Devin's going to have to think what's best for me because my goals are OSG. I don't know about the Arnolds again, but OSG for sure is my...
But the reality is, what are the highest level shows available to you?
Yeah.
And this year, it's the Arnold. You have
OSG.
the local Masters show in OSG.
Yeah.
So I think those are realistically good shows for you to be doing.
Right.
And if you find something, maybe Shaw next year. I know this year he's bringing in powerlifting. Maybe next year is a Masters division.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he's good.
If it
buddies
goes
with
good
Nick
at the
Best.
Arnolds, I think that's a huge step in the right direction for us older athletes to get. If it goes over well there, I think more people will jump on board because then more
Well-
people will be bugging. Because I know people like Carrie Poole was bugging the Arnolds about the Masters competition, and they kind of scuffed her off quite a bit there. But she's adamant to, and when she gets on you, boy, she stays on you.
Well, good. And I know Carrie listens because she's always telling me about how you're not that old. Which,
Yeah.
Carrie,
We
he's
love you,
old.
Carrie.
You're youthful. He's old. But I think, it's interesting. We'll see how it kind of comes up.
The more the merrier. The more shows we can do, the better.
Absolutely.
Tongue in cheek, but
Well, it's funny you say that, though, because, like, I remember when you were probably the same way, but when I got dragged into powerlifting, it was very much the more the merrier because there was maybe like 60 people in the entire MPA between the spotters, spectators, and handlers.
yeah, it was always the same people competing, the same
Yeah.
people. And that when we started in powerlifting, I got into reffing for that reason because Brock and Sue were doing all the reffing, and they, you chat with them and they wanted to lift too. So I'm like, well, I need to do my part now. So I want to jump in as a ref so that they can free themselves up so that they can actually compete.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it kind of got weird there, and I just kind of
well,
there was
I
some
think-
issues with the whole. It became more bickering and negative experience for me, and I just kind of stepped back because I didn't enjoy it as much.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I've gone through phases of that, and I think that the last decade of the MPA, you've had a couple of people who have just been there and doing their stuff, working, like the Haywoods,
Matthew Bowen.
Jeanette Bowen.
Yeah.
But you have the people who are just there,
Yeah.
but then you also have a lot of people who are just coming and going.
Yeah.
There's a couple of young people now who are getting really involved, and they're on the board and they're doing good things. I mean, like, I don't know, did you have a chance to stop by that U of M powerlifting meet?
No.
So, I mean, shout out to Lyette Schultz, killed it. She's the youngest meet director we've ever had, and that was the best event, bar none, that I've ever been to for a powerlifting meet.
What made it better?
The production. Like, it was big, it was exciting. They had lights and music and the stage. Like, it was really nice. Well, it was in the center. Have you been to Max Bell? Center? It was in like the center of the field there. And so they had this big, like, it was smoke screens and everything. It was crazy. And the announcing was very
I kind of thought
done.
that wasn't allowed for whatever reason.
I'm not sure how, whatever, but it looked really
That's good.
nice.
No, that's what makes it fun. Like, that's what I do enjoy about WRPF.
Maybe it's gotten less so since Sheffield's become popular.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't have any
Because Sheffield is like, that's a production. So why can't that come to local meets? Like,
and frankly, I just don't have the interest to run a meet.
Yeah.
I'm not taking time out of my schedule when I'm doing the stuff I'm doing currently.
Yeah, you get a lot of flack when you run meets, especially now with prices and stuff like that. And I know I was a flack giver because the cost of the powerlifting meets got completely out of control. And I sat there one day and I one meet come out and I was just going through the amount of competitors. Okay, we're capping it at this many competitors. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then I know it was an in-house meet, so there's no overhead on the building. So then I just kind of started adding stuff up in my head. And man, did I get myself worked up. Because I'm like, you're charging $150-ish. I can't remember what it was.
It was about $150.
It was $150 a head or whatever. And then I start adding it up in my head. And then, okay, so I start looking through the MPA book or whatever. What are the sanctioning fees? What are these fees? Or what are these fees? So I add up all those fees. And I'm like, there's $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 left. And I'm like, well, where does that go?
Yeah.
For an adult recreational activity, it's not the Olympics.
No, and I feel differently if that's like a federation meet. But I'm like, it's...
If you have overhead.
I get it. You can make money and you have overhead. It's, well, I'm closing my gym for half a day or whatever. I don't feel like it's in the best interest of the sport for you to make a bunch of money. And people seem to think
in all honesty, I don't even care about that. I care about they're begging people to volunteer, shaming people to volunteer, drive out from wherever, from the Haywoods, driving out to volunteer their time, to load weights, load plates, you get lunch, you get a sandwich. But now you're using volunteers to make money, and it doesn't sit well with me. I don't know. I'd rather.
That's a fair play.
You know, if you're gonna have that, then you hire employees. If you want people to pay people to manage the platform, okay, pay your refs. You don't have to pay much, but I don't feel like you should walk away with $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 on the backs of volunteers.
I would argue I deserve to be paid for that searcher last year.
You do. You did again today.
Yes. Thanks, Adam. Just take the bar.
Adam doing Adam things.
Just because I can doesn't mean I want to.
Just walks out. Take it.
Yeah.
Backstory: Adam is Adam.
Yeah.
And,
thankfully, I'm okay 11 days out from my big competition.
Oh, then I'm watching you grab Shelby's bar off the rack. And
can you put this on the ground for me? It's like,
I'm like, you're kids.
I know. We're young and durable. But when will I learn?
Yeah, no, it's funny.
But it is what it is. Yeah. But I mean, the MP has kind of gone through that transition where, but I remember back when I was doing it, there was like, you'd share 3 people to a power cage.
That was I was an advocate for higher fees at a time. In the early days when it was $60 a meet.
Something like that.
Plus we paid our MPA membership and that was fine. And I know there wasn't a whole lot of money made. And then we were going through bent bars in the back and just using whatever you could use, trying to scrounge together plates. I'm like, I was that advocate. You want to charge more money? That's great. If you're buying equipment for warm-ups, if you're upgrading the equipment on the platform, let's do it. Let's have more money. You know what I mean? It's similar to the way they bring in these coaches. I don't want people to lose money. Yep. And I want you to have a good product, and I want to be involved in a sport that's organized and classy. I like classy.
Yeah. Well, that's something for, quickly, Tyler, Devin, any other gym member, if you're losing money, charge more.
100%.
Like, we will still come. It's the same core group every single time. We are happy to cover the cost of it. Don't lose money.
Yeah.
And maybe, unless you check the conversion rates. If you don't check the conversion rates, that one's on you. But if you know the conversion rate, then, don't lose money.
Yeah.
We want these to keep coming. And
and if somebody bitches about it, just let us know. We'll beat them up.
Well, eventually, I don't want people to get a sour taste in their mouth.
No.
Because, again, it is the same group of people coming out every time, which I guess is fine for me. I like the small little group.
Yeah.
But if it's the same group of people coming out every time, eventually are they going to become disenfranchised and kind of go, oh, am I actually growing the sport? No.
Right.
Don't lose money on your events. That's not what we're saying. But no, I agree. You need a certain amount of capital to get up to a certain level. But once that certain level is achieved, then there's no purpose to spending more just for the sake of it.
Unless you have a reason for it, you know what I mean? If there's some end goal, if there's something you want to get or buy, that's great. Yeah. I like it.
Well, the thing with those though is like the MPA only runs one meet a year, provincials.
Right.
Everything else is private contractors, independent meet directors. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be walking away with thousands of dollars. No. I know people say like we don't, but
you do.
Be transparent as to where that money is going, because
I challenge them to lay out the numbers for us.
Yeah.
Make a post and say this is what it cost. If you walk away with $1,000, that's great. I don't mind. That I don't mind. If you want to buy a new barbell for your gym, that's great.
Manitoba Power Pod. Maybe that's something you guys can do. I know they've both run meets. You can break it down, because I don't think a lot of people understand that.
No. Yeah, that would be a good topic.
But realistically, I'm sure that there are costs.
Oh, yeah.
But as a lifter, you don't always see it.
And it might help people get less, like myself, have less of a bad taste in their mouth.
Yes.
Because people do mental.
Hard to please.
Yeah, look at, what's my shirt say?
Grumpy Old Men's Club. Yeah, that's fair.
That's me.
That's why you're so content.
BJ got me that shirt. Thanks, BJ.
Yeah, there you go.
He listens too.
Oh, good guy.
Busting my balls.
He gets very angry when he doesn't get his free weekly episode.
Yeah.
But no, it's interesting. I think.
But no, I caught up on all their Manitoba Power podcast.
Yes.
I was driving to Ontario, so yeah, we mentioned them there a little bit there, and then I thought, I'll give them a listen too, because I didn't. Yeah. I felt like I was so far away from the MPA that it didn't appeal to me. But after listening, it did appeal to me. I do enjoy it.
Yeah,
I do enjoy them talking about people that I do know.
There's enough people that I do know where I can follow almost all the names, and then I find some names that I don't know about.
Yeah.
Well, actually, remember that? So that Eric Tantacore guy.
Nope.
So he's the second highest GL. But you remember Stronghold Titan?
Yep.
That was him.
He owned it?
Yeah, he was one of the owners or something.
Right.
But yeah, so I just saw the name and I was like, I know that guy from somewhere. And then someone mentioned, he's a Stronghold Titan. I'm like, this makes sense now why I recognize the name. So
right.
But yeah, no, it's definitely grown a lot.
Yep.
But then, so I'm trying to think here. So get into strength sports, start training. So I did powerlifting for about 10 years. And I was kind of in the same boat, because we'll loop back to the start of the conversation. Rambles is what here, folks. That was
15 minutes ago, if you remember.
Rambling. Yep. But going back to kind of the goals thing and knowing where you were, I mean, I thought I was tapped out in like 2018. But it was like, oh, no, I'm a student. I'm in school. I'm working 60, 70 hours a week.
Were you getting coached by Guy then, too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Guy, to his credit, I was doing way too much.
Right.
So he switched me to a variation conjugate model.
Right.
So I was doing a different variation every 3-4 weeks. And now in hindsight, I'm like, why did he? Because it was kind of out of the blue.
Yep.
Like we were just doing the system I was working, and then all of a sudden he just changed me over to this. And then I kind of was looking at when I started getting burnt out all the time to when he put me on that rotating variation model was almost neck and neck. It's like, he was adjusting my. Like I couldn't get fatigued because I was constantly changing variations.
Right.
It's like, that was his subtle way of saying you're an idiot.
Yeah. That's a good coach. A coach is watching and not just whatever, just shooting you program after program after program. You're not making any progress. Whatever. You're paying your $200 a month. Yeah. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing, right? Where like I give him good feedback, but you could see, and he kind of made a couple comments. He's like, "You need to sleep more." I'm like, whatever. It's fine. I'm young.
Yeah.
I was not fine. It was not okay.
Right. It was not okay.
But so yeah, but around there, like I kind of stalled out, and cause, I mean, I remember like when I started early, I came in and had sub-junior records my first year. Everything was great. Turns out that there just wasn't anyone else doing it really.
Yeah.
Then 2018 nationals, it kind of all came to a head where I thought I was quote all in, kind of what we were talking about last time.
Right.
But I mean, I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating right, I wasn't maintaining my recovery the way I should have been.
Yep.
And sure enough, I just absolutely underperformed on the biggest competition I had done at that point.
Right.
And at that point, it was kind of like, well, I'm done with competing for a while. I'm just going to kind of like go about my life.
Right.
And so
you kind of gave up because of the bad performance, or
I wouldn't say gave
just got
up.
upset.
Not even upset. It was kind of just like okay, like this is no longer a priority.
Okay.
Like I'm going to go work. I'm going to go, because I always had the goal to buy a house before I was 25.
Yep.
So like, I'm going to go and take care of that.
Yep.
And then I'll keep training. And I kept training. And then COVID happened. So that was really just like, okay, well now I can't really do anything.
Yeah.
So I was training. Mom got really sick, so I had to train at home.
Right.
I'm talking like if she so much as got a cold, she was
Right.
So it was like, okay, well, bought those gigantic kettlebells, just trained at home, did that kind of stuff.
Absurd.
They're absurd. It's been long enough I can say it. I started storing the MPA's rack, so I set up the Alico rack in the garage and started training powerlifting again. Went out to Westerns in Richmond, I think it was, with the Olympic Oval there.
Okay.
So I did Westerns there, provincials at Iron Image. Nothing really too good.
Right. Were your numbers still going up?
My numbers were still going up, but I mean, my best deadlift was 660 in 2017, 2018, I think maybe.
Right.
And then I had some issues with my hip and just like never really got back to that number.
Right.
But then I dropped down to 120 kilos for the 2021 season.
Okay.
Competed well there, just missed winning nationals by 2.5 kilos because I did some poor math, and the coach who was handling the provincial team didn't correct me. I was all amped up and I thought I needed a 10 kilo jump to pull for the win.
Yeah.
I needed 5.
Oh, and you missed it.
I got it just above my knee and then missed. So I'm like, 5 kilos less would have gone.
Would have gone.
You can't
Hindsight.
go back and hindsight that.
Yeah. But you live and learn, right?
You
Who
live
do you
and
trust?
learn,
Yeah.
right?
Who do you trust?
So, well, that's the thing, not that guy. And then kind of just went back to being retired,
Yep.
quote unquote. Kind of the running joke with me and the juniors that I was just retired.
Yeah.
And then
Retired junior powerlifter.
yeah, and then fell down a flight of stairs, got a concussion in late 23, and then was like, "Ooh, I only have like 12 years of this." I figure like 39 is kind of like where you peak as a male, or whatever, for like strength.
I won't take offense to that.
Well, honestly, I'm curious the more that comes out to see what training age versus actual age
Yeah.
is. But that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, that'll be another episode.
And then came back, provincials, set the record, caught the Zercher, and then the rest is strongman from
Right.
there.
Yeah.
So it's like I've been in it for a long time, but like through that process, the goals have definitely changed. I feel like at the point now, I've given myself permission to kind of think about it.
Right.
But I think with goals, like I don't really, like a goal would say, oh, in 2030, I want to be a world's strongest man.
Right.
That's a goal.
That's a goal. That's a big
But
goal.
I
Yeah.
don't like, I'm not always a fan of the outcome-based goals. Like to me, it's more, I'm going to go in and attack my training the best that I can today.
Do you
and then
keep
whatever
numbers
happens,
as
happens.
goals, like a log number or a deadlift number, or is there one number
Not really.
that you chase?
Like,
I'm a numbers
it-
guy.
I kind
I
of-
chase a number.
I kind of go in like, what's the next logical jump?
Right.
So like, let's say I've pulled 765, and I've locked out 800. Well, the next plate would be 855.
Okay.
So 855, but it's like, it's not something where like I have to hit this in 6 months or whatever. But it's like, if I keep putting the work in,
You'll get there.
then maybe I'll hit there. Maybe I just never will. Maybe it's not in my
There is going
genetics
to be
do it.
there is always an end.
Yeah, but it's like
it's
I'm
logical.
not.
People say, "Oh, there's not an end." And
I think
there's an end. Okay.
Yeah, but the thing for me is I'm like, let's just say log. Like my log has not really meaningfully improved as far as like a top end number I've actually confirmed hit.
Right.
Since really the log comp last year.
Right.
Well, sorry, I hit 300 at the log comp last year. Westerns in July. July last year, I hit
320 for 2.
320 for 2.
Yep.
Well, I hit 320 for 2 a couple times since.
Yep.
But I haven't hit anything above that.
Right.
So really, I don't know where my top end strength is.
Right.
I could get frustrated by that if I said, "Oh, I got to hit 350."
Right.
Or I can say, "Well,
That is the hard part about putting a deadline with your number that you're choosing. Right.
But even the number, right? Because I'm like, I could, let's just say, and Alec made a good point. He's like, well, you're not weak, you're under practiced. Okay, that's fair.
No, that's-
Well, let's just say that all of a sudden all the practice kicks in and then suddenly I hit 380 within a couple of months.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to expect anything. It's like, I know I'm on the right track. I know I'm putting the work in.
Yep.
And then as I tweak and adjust the process, eventually the numbers will come. but it's not a perfect correlation. It's like the stock market, right? You don't put your money in the S&P 500 and then next year expect to gain 10%. You might gain 8, you might lose 2, but if you leave it over the long term and continue that consistent process, eventually you'll have a nice nest egg. That's kind of how I look at the strength. Like the nest egg is going to be there. I just have to add the little.
You're going to have highs and lows. That's just a non-negotiable.
Exactly. I just got to put my deposit of my work every single day. And I find that if I were to get worried about, I have to do this, I have to squat this, I have to hit this, it's like, whatever. Like, it happens when it happens. So
I do believe that a base, like for you and I, the way we train, the way we eat, the way we sleep, I'm not the best at sleeping, but I feel like every muscle fiber we build, as long as we can hold on to it, the next muscle fiber is building on top of that, on top of the next one, on top of the next one. So over the years, maybe your numbers might not shoot up right away, but as you build this, in my head, I'm building muscle fibers. Okay, and then once I have like 5% more, then I can really strengthen them up. Then I can get to those next numbers. But it's when you take off 6 months, or you take off a year, or you have a sickness or an illness, like Buddy Emmanuel there's in Ontario had a little bout with cancer. The guy's a machine.
Absolutely. Well, I remember watching him at Nationals. So he went out, competed the day before. He came out the following day and had to sandbag the shoulder. He hit 10 sandbags in a row. Didn't skip a single one. And he almost got something stupid. But like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, would he have gotten that bag if he had just like not done all of that? But then he did all the other record breakers too. And I'm just like, this guy's a machine.
He's a machine. He was over 50 at the time, I believe.
Yes.
I believe he was over 50. But when I first got to Nationals, I wasn't looking at anybody. I didn't know who the other competitors were, except for Adam Arsenault. I knew who he was, but and I knew that was the guy to beat from the year before. But then this guy shows up and he's got bicep veins popping out and he's just shredded. I'm like, I'm in trouble. Like,
well, I remember I saw him in the Toronto airport, and I just immediately was like, "That's a strong man." Because he kind of looks like a small Nick Best.
He does. His beard.
And it's like with the beard and stuff. So,
but going back to like taking time off, well, he had his bout, but he's a fucking machine. He's not stopping. He wasn't a couple days out of his chemo, and he's back in the gym. He didn't give a shit what he put on the bar. He's going to pull. He's going to push. He's going to just manhandle whatever. And I get all choked up. I'm like, I got to go lift some weights now.
I can tell because you just dropped 2 curse words.
Sorry.
I got you. You
got me fired up there, No, that guy gets me fired up.
But and I mean, like, it's... You have no doubt he's going to be at the top of his game again in a year.
Oh, yeah.
Because he took the time to step back, deal with that. He from how I seem to see it, he basically approached it like a training prep. From what I saw from his stories, how he's talking about it. And it's
his
like...
weight. He's watching his weight. And
I mean, he's cancer-free now. It's in remission, at least.
I believe so,
Yeah, so I mean, congratulations. Happy to hear that. Look forward to see what he does next year, right? So
he ain't stopping yet.
But no, and you're right. It's like somebody have to take the time off, but it's like it's the consistent effort over, 10, 20, 30 years of training where you're going to get strong. I mean, kind of to what Alex's point was in the seminar there, it's like if you can just stay uninjured that entire time, that's going to increase the height of strength you can reach.
100%.
And I think so many people are so worried about hitting their potential now, but it's like the best lifters in any sport have been in the game a very long time. And you think of Lasha, Dan Bell, even Jesus Oliveras. I mean, I remember he popped up the first time because he was squatting like 700, 800 pounds in like high school. I believe he's the same guy as who I'm thinking of because he was from Texas.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, a decade later, he's the heaviest total of all time in a drug-tested federation. And he's out-totaling everybody else. But it's like, you think John Hack, well, he was USAPL national champion in 2015 or 16 or whatever. I mean, like these guys have been in the game a very, very long time.
And they're still getting better.
Like
John Hack is still getting better.
Which is a terrifying thought, to be totally honest. I mean, that guy's...
Just a machine,
It's stupid. But as far as goals go, I don't know. I don't really set them for myself because as soon as I do that, then I just feel like there's an expectation I've put on myself. It's like
added pressure.
If it's something like that's measurable, like I can't even think of a time where I've put like a deadline. Like
I don't do deadlines. I do.
Like,
I have goals, like just stuff that I want to do. I want to pull 300 kg. I want to bench 405. I want to I wanted to squat 600 wrapped. I don't care.
Yeah.
But there's just this certain numbers. The log was 275. Now, I think I've abandoned that. And I think I've been poked around enough the 300 mark, but the 300 to me is completely bonkers. Like I can't, that was like a number that I never even thought possible for myself. But now I'm like, oof, we might be getting close, you know?
It's very, very close.
Yeah.
I mean, what was your best triple going into OSG? Roughly
245.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 245, and you would have had the 285 had you not blacked out.
Yeah. Yeah. That was close. I just misgrooved it a little bit.
I'm not saying
if that was in a normal
you're
building.
stronger.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you're stronger now. So
You're always good for that.
I try.
But
So I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But I think that's a good thing where I think people set these goals for themselves. And it's like, well, I have to hit this number by blank, or I want to be the junior or sub-junior. It's like, also, all you young athletes, no one cares.
no one cares.
No one cares about junior, sub-junior. It's adult.
Yeah.
When you're in the open age division, like, that's when people care about your records.
Yep.
Until then, just keep grinding and stop talking about how amazing you are for your age and weight class.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Gym
I'm
lifts
not
are gym
sorry.
lifts. You got to do it on the
Oh,
platform.
even on a platform.
Even on a platform.
Even on a platform. You don't get props for winning junior worlds. You get props for winning open worlds.
Yeah. You do.
Maybe that's an extreme example, but you get my point. Stick around for 10 years, then I'll be impressed.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I've seen
Flash
a lot
in the
of
pan.
people.
I'm not a big fan of flash in the pan guys. There's a lot of guys that have just come out super strong, completely disappeared.
Yeah, well, and for different reasons. I mean, I know there was a guy when I was coming up named Dan Nobel. He's in Holland, Dutch guy. He's like 6'8". He would have been a great strongman.
Yeah.
But he does like CrossFit military stuff now.
Okay.
I still have him on Instagram. He's a good dude.
Yep.
But we used to talk all the time, and then one day he was just like, yeah, like I pulled the numbers I kind of wanted, and I just have different goals now, and I want to be healthier. I was like,
Fair enough.
Honestly, like I respect that. Like,
Well, especially if you are an open weight strongman and you do have to put on a lot of fat, it does affect your quality of life.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was looking back at it, like he was very large, but I mean, like he's probably about the size I am now.
Right.
But he just didn't like it anymore. One of my buddies from high school, he out squatted me all through high school, out benched me all through high school, and then now he's training for Ironmans, and he's very happy with it. He's kind of like, oh, why do you? I'm like, I still like this, and he's like, oh, it's fair. I just don't want to be that heavy anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, he was like 6'3", 240, and it's like, yeah, okay, you're a big dude.
Yeah.
And he just eventually was like, I want to be able to hike with my girlfriend and stuff, and they moved out to BC, so he's like, yeah, this is just better for my active lifestyle. It's like, okay, fair enough, man.
Yeah,
but I think that's a good thing. But
it's good that they're still motivated to do something, not just stopping to do nothing.
Goals change.
Yep.
And that's where, like I said, like I don't want to really set myself any like hard, like I will be at CSM or I will be at Worlds. Like what happens happens. I mean, like honestly,
At the end of the day, it's still a recreational activity. Like it's not.
yeah.
The end
And
of the
honestly, one of the healthiest things I think I've seen mentally was, I mean, well, Marcus Crowder, right? Wins OSG, goes to World's Strongest Man, does very well at North America's Strongest Man, blows both quad tendons, hitching a deadlift.
Yeah.
Well, you'd think for a lot of people that would be like devastating. I'm sure it was devastating for him, but he now seems to be very happy. He's dropped a substantial amount of weight,
Right.
And he's just kind of focusing on being healthy, lean, shredded, and helping other people do the same thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yep, hey, I had my time at Strongman. Like, I'm happy. Like, I
Right.
did what I wanted to do. I can't have any regrets looking at my career. So, like, I'm moving forward.
Right.
I think that's like super healthy to do.
Yep.
So, like, if someone wants to walk away from something for good personal reasons, I'm like, who am I to judge you?
No, 100%. I do agree.
I think when you're,
I like it when they walk away to something else, still
Yes.
goal oriented or whatever. Then it's when they walk away and do nothing. That's what kind of bugs me. But
yeah, well,
it's not it doesn't matter to me. But it's just like you
but
could.
it's, you know that quality, the person's quality of life just took a significant hit.
Yeah.
Right. Because like human beings, we all want to be driven by something.
Yep.
And I think that it's important that people have a goal of some kind or something they're working towards. So I'd agree. I think that a lot of people make their whole life this one thing.
Right.
And then if that, like I said, flash in the pan, they get really strong, really good, they break themselves, and then they can't do it anymore. It's like, well, I worry about you now.
Yep.
Right. Like, what are you going to do now?
Yep,
Because it's so one dimensional.
Yeah. That was your outlet. Now you have no outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, there's a lot of guys. I mean, like, love him or hate him, Mitch Hooper said many times that if he couldn't do strongman tomorrow, he'd be very happy.
Yeah.
Because he's got his family, he's got his business.
Right.
He doesn't need strongman. He's enjoying it for now. He's like, but if it ever becomes not fun, I'll walk away.
Right.
I think, like, different, very, very different. But like Max Verstappen very openly talks about in F1 how like he doesn't want to stick around for 20 years in F1 to win 8-9 titles.
Yep.
Which kind of like a shot at the current, people call him like the GOAT is Lewis Hamilton, right? He's won 8 titles, but he's like 40 years old.
Right.
He's unmarried, no kids, whereas Max has got a baby on the way. He's got a stepdaughter. It's like he seems to be holistically happier.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, that's amazing. You're literally the best in the world right now.
Yep.
And you're saying I could walk away tomorrow and I'd be happy. I think there's something to be said for that.
Yep.
You're like Tom
It sounds
Brady.
crazy.
Well, then you have Tom Brady, where it's like he gave up his marriage to win another Super Bowl.
Right.
And it's like, well, if that's what you had to do, that's what you had to do. Hopefully it's worth it. But
I
he
guess,
seems
yeah.
totally happy in his life now. So I don't know.
Got
Hard
enough
to
money.
say. Yeah.
They say money doesn't buy happiness, but I think it helps.
A certain amount. At a certain point, money does buy happiness.
Money certainly helps, yeah.
But it makes it easier.
Yeah.
So, 35 minutes. Do you have
That's it.
Do you have a joke for us?
I do. I know
Much to
I know
my
you've all been
chagrin.
waiting for this moment in
Yeah.
stitches.
much to my chagrin, I will prompt you.
So a horse walks into a bar.
Okay.
He walks up to the bartender. Bartender says, "Hey, what can I get for you?" Or no, he asks. He just walks up to the bartender or whatever, and the bartender looks at him and says, "So why the long face?"
I got one for you.
Okay.
Man walks into a bar.
Okay.
He says, "Ouch."
Okay. That one was bad. It was worse that I didn't get it. Man walks into a bar. Oh,
Took you a
jeez.
second.
Yeah. Did you hear the one about the skeleton that walks into a bar? The skeleton walks into a bar, sits down. Bartender says, "So what can I get for you?" He says, "I'll have a beer and a mop." Do you get it?
Tragically.
Oh, man.
Those are rough.
Those are bad.
And you
So bad,
forgot.
though. Yeah.
That's, you gotta
It was pressure. You put pressure on me.
I know. You gotta work on your delivery.
I will. Don't worry. We'll get better.
Yeah. So
promise.
make sure you tell everyone at work dad jokes.
I will.
All week.
I do.
Okay. As long as you're
What I do.
rehearsing.
They're
it.
terrible, too.
Okay. Good.
I'll practice. Like, guys, sit
Excellent. In the
down.
mirror.
I got one for you.
Just make sure. Yeah. Make sure the mic in front of you. You're ready to go. Get
I
that
should just bring it,
delivery-
yeah. Plug it
Yeah. Get
in
the
something.
delivery lined up. Just record everything you do all week. Be perfect.
My life is a joke, so
Ain't that the truth?
ain't that the truth? Yeah. But no, yeah, we were talking about strength, and I think we chatted a little bit about it, where it started. But I think I was thinking a little bit of a different direction. I was thinking more to my childhood, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Way back.
I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, hey, when did it matter whether or not I was strong?
When you had to fight a velociraptor?
Yeah, twice.
Oh,
How'd you know?
Scars.
The scars. Deadly war wounds.
Yes.
But no, I remember me and my dad were shingling a roof, and we were carrying bundles up because we were poor. We couldn't get rooftop delivery or whatever. And he was impressed that I could carry this bundle of shingles up the ladder or whatever. So then I was like, well, yeah. And the more he praised me for how strong I was at that, the more that motivated me to be the strongest at everything. You know what I mean? If we were hauling wood, I had to grab the biggest piece or whatever, and that mattered to me. I wasn't super strong as a kid. We would lift weights in my basement. I was not the strongest guy there. There was buddies that were benching way more than me. I'd like to remember what we were benching because it was probably not much.
It's the
But
old
to us at the
Reader-
time, it
old
seemed like a
Reader
lot.
Sandfield set.
Yeah, the cement. Or we had steel plates too.
Oh, you had steel plates.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Ooh,
We had this
spoiled.
bench that had the arms were like this wide. So as soon as you started loading it, somebody had to hold the bar.
Yeah, I've seen those ones
Yeah,
where
me and
your
BJ
hands are
and-
on the outside of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Classic.
I wish I could remember what we were benching, but yeah, no, it mattered. The strength references, when people said you were strong, that meant a lot to me. You know what I mean? If you're with a family member and you're doing something, they're like, oh wow, you're really strong. That meant something to me.
Well, I think that. So I'm trying to think back now because. So I know I have a picture of it on my phone. I just keep it with me, but it's when I was in kindergarten. My mom still has it for some reason. It's like laminated in one of my keepsakes things.
Right.
But I'd drawn like that's when I was like 5 years old in kindergarten. It's like I like being strong.
Yeah,
And I just drew like some really terrible looking muscle man, whatever.
yeah,
But it's like, okay, so like there was something back then about I liked being strong.
Right.
I couldn't place it.
yeah,
But I think that like growing up too, I always ended up watching the old X-Men, Batman animated series. Like I grew up on superheroes,
Yep.
wanted to be a comic artist for a very long time.
right.
always, ironically, like the Hulk was my favorite.
Oh yeah, the Hulk was the man.
Yeah, he's the man.
Hulk smash.
And it was a weird thing where I was never really the strong kid.
Yeah,
Because I skipped kindergarten. So I was
because you're so smart.
Apparently. So
What happened?
well, I know. Gifted children and tortured adult. But I remember because I have a very different memory of this, but I just remember being taken to the classroom. Like one day my kindergarten teacher was like, all right, let's go. Walked me down the hall. She goes, here's your class now. Have fun. And just like kicked me into the next room.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, that's all I remember. My mom was like, there was like weeks of like meetings with psychologists and like interviews. Oh yeah, it was like a big long process.
So do you feel like that was traumatizing a little bit?
I don't remember it. So
you just remember getting changed
just
to a
remember
different
going to the
class,
next room.
right? And did it scare you or anything, or what was it?
Not really.
No,
Like,
it was
I
just
didn't-
a
I was just
memory.
like, oh, the teacher took me here, so it's safe, right?
Okay.
But yeah, for some reason, like I don't have many memories from my childhood. That one sticks out of just walking down the hallway.
Yeah.
But ironically, I think I was the last kid to be advanced in St. James School Division.
Okay.
So my mom teaches in the division now.
Right.
And anytime they talk about, oh, it's damaging developmentally, you shouldn't do it. Like, oh, like Nadine, you're awfully quiet. And she's just like, well,
I can verify it's not.
Yeah, I should probably stay quiet on this topic.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like,
that's
so
awesome.
it's kind of funny.
Yeah. I definitely didn't skip any grades.
But the thing
I'm lucky I got through the ones I got
no
through.
kidding. we know.
Yeah, I'm glad I stayed past grade 4. I didn't have to be a tire guy.
There's a reason I set this up.
Yeah. I helped a couple times. I'm like, hey, huh?
Helped is a strong word.
It's like helping your dad. Here, thanks for your help. Here's a
exactly.
cookie.
This is how it feels when the kid's holding the flashlight wrong and you're screaming at him. Like, I'm
Yeah.
working on it.
Yeah, shine it in my eyes one more time. We'll shove it down your throat. Easy, Dad. Wow, relax.
Oh my.
That's me with my son now. You hold that flashlight wrong once, boy.
He's old enough to know.
Yeah, I'll still beat him up.
Mal should know. Shout out to Mal. He helped fix
Shout
my
out to
truck,
Mal.
so
He
we
did,
like Mal. Mal's Mufflers. Is that
Mal's
the name he's
Mufflers
going
and
with?
more. Yeah.
There we go.
Shameless
Mal's
plug.
Mufflers and more.
Yeah.
Maybe a sponsor of the show.
Well,
Mal.
last night he went and one of his buddies, there was a car broke down on the highway.
Yeah.
So he went out there. One of his buddies comes down here and he's like, I'll pick you up and we'll go, because he knows Mal's whatever, mechanically inclined and pretty decent at mechanicking, I must say. I'm pretty proud. But no, he's, I don't even know what time it was last night. I guess we weren't here. So whatever. Okay. He goes down there and he's like, whatever. The dad's trying to help the guy and the dad's giving the kid advice. And I was like, that's not going to work. Like, that's not how cars work. I can help you if you let me help you or whatever. And he's like, I have a tow truck at home. I'll go get my tow truck. I'll tow your car home. And if you want, I can fix it too. It'll be this much for the tow. And give him a roundabout number on how much it'll cost to fix it. Okay, long story short, he goes, takes the tow truck. The guy trusts him. Yeah, guy doesn't know him from a hole in the ground. Yeah. Mal picks up the car, drags it here. I come home. There's a car in a tow truck. I'm thinking, great, more cars in the yard. He comes in, no, Dad, I saved this guy, and I'm going to go change his alternator. I'm like, well, you got about 2 hours, and we got podcast time, so you better be out of the shop.
You got it done.
So I helped him drag it in here, and I said, Kate, they're coming in 30 minutes. You better be out. Yeah, okay. So I come walking out just when you came up the driveway there.
Yeah.
He was pulling it out the drive. I'm like, I'm impressed right now.
He did good.
Yeah,
He
I'm
did
impressed.
Well, there you go.
Mal's Mufflers and more.
Mal's Mufflers and more.
Contact him. I'm staying out of it.
Yeah, exactly. It helps that Mal's just a good kid.
He is a good kid. Yeah.
He looks presentable.
Yep.
He doesn't look like a
Respectable.
average roadside mechanic.
No.
He's
Yeah.
like covered in grease
Yelling
and
at you.
tobacco
You're
and
calling you-
sunflower seeds.
Yeah, he cleaned up after himself for once, kinda. Like we're gonna
little
start
bit.
charging him a little bit for sweeping,
He's
but
working on it.
can't expect perfection, I guess.
But yes, I skipped a grade. Tirades.
Wow, that was a big one, eh?
That was a big one.
Left field.
Holy cow.
Okay, we'll rein it back in.
Yeah.
Back to strength.
Weren't we making fun of how Devin and Tyler used to plug Jeremy Ween's realtor, and then we did that?
Yeah, I
We're
think
all
we
over the
did.
place.
Yeah.
Oof, okay.
Well,
Sorry,
once he
Devin,
starts
that's
making
harsh.
money, we'll kind of charge him, kind of
Exactly.
not.
There we go.
He can be a sponsor of the show.
But yeah, so I skipped the grade, whatever, and then it was weird because I always liked strong characters and like superheroes, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
But like because I was a year behind, like I was
Smaller.
higher pitched voice, that kind of stuff.
Right.
I was always like picked on and bullied, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
very similar to me. I was
Yeah.
the fat kid. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You were the fat kid?
Oh yeah, I was super fat. Yeah.
You're so small.
And I had an afro. I had bad hair.
You had an afro.
Yeah.
Joss, I'm going to need to
I
picture
know.
that one.
You'd never know what happened there. So most of it's gone now. But
I was going to say, wow.
what do you mean you were gonna say?
Your beard's got some good volume.
Well, yeah, that's what I got going for me. I keep their attention here,
The afro
so that
used to
nobody's
be
looking
there,
up here.
now it's-
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. That's why the hat's on.
It didn't even retreat. It just kind of started dissipating from the middle down. I don't know what that was.
So really, are you even a strength athlete if you don't slightly dislike your hairline?
100%.
I think
You
it's
have
just
to.
it's a rite of passage.
And if not, we'll shave the front of it off and make you hate
yeah,
it.
exactly. That's how it works. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was always bullied and stuff, so I never really realized that strength is something you can build.
Yeah,
Right?
no, I
You're
agree.
either you're strong
You
or you're
figured
not.
that's similar to the way I thought about it. I was strong, so I was strong. That was it. It didn't matter about how
Yes.
much stronger I could get. If I could haul the biggest log out of all my buddies, or if I could haul the most sandbags, if we're sandbagging a buddy's house or whatever, I had to make sure I was hauling more sandbags or bigger sandbags than anybody else to get a bit of recognition. You want the adults to be like, "Oh, look at that guy go!" You know what I mean? And for me, it was always for recognition.
Did you have the roller chair stands?
Roller
You know,
chair
an
stand.
assembly that bring out
Yeah,
the
yeah,
big roll
yeah.
of chairs. They go,
Yeah.
I need some big, strong boys to help me, and you're
Yeah.
like taking 6 chairs under
100%,
each
yeah.
arm, seeing who can take the most. And like,
If Buddy
the
took
teachers
7, I'm
encouraged
taking
it.
8. I don't give.
Yeah. Well, and the teachers all encouraged it.
Yeah.
It was like, your kids, if you get hurt, whatever. Here's some.
Yeah, you're probably
here's
not
an
gonna
ice
hurt.
pack.
You're not gonna tear a bicep.
No, you're too stupid.
When was the last time you heard an 8-year-old tear a bicep?
I'm sure it's happened.
Ah,
but
it's probably
I don't
happened.
want
but
to hear about
no,
it. I hope
no.
it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
often.
maybe that's the kind of the wrong path to go down.
Yeah.
My bad. Sorry. If you're an 8-year-old that's tore your bicep and you're listening to the show, I apologize.
If you're an 8-year-old listening to the show,
I apologize.
your parents don't love you, and they don't care about your supervision.
That's right. I agree.
Oh, we broke Joss.
Yeah, she can't handle it no more.
Excellent. That's half of what we do here is just trying to break Jocelyn and Shelby off camera.
Yeah.
See how much we can get them to laugh. But
We've been doing good so far.
yeah, but that's actually an interesting thing. 'Cause I'm just now occurring to me as we're going down the memory lane there, where it's like, yeah, I can't. The first time I really realized, oh, like you can get stronger, probably would have been like even post high school.
Right.
Because I got stronger in high school, but I think I just attributed that to like puberty.
Right.
Right. I'm like,
I don't
oh,
know
well,
if I
I'm
got
growing up.
stronger during those times of us working out. Like, we didn't write anything down. We didn't log anything. We all would just randomly hit the weights. So nobody
Yes.
ever had you kind of had your cookie cutter out of the muscle and fitness magazines or the bodybuilding magazines that you'd buy. Okay, I
Yeah.
got to do 5 sets of 8 tricep extensions or whatever. I had the York 2001 gym in the basement. So that was my house was the house to come work out at or whatever. But yeah, I honestly, I'm not sure anybody got tangibly stronger.
Yeah, and it's one of the, you worked out, but again, it's
Yeah.
like I think back then because I pulled my first 405 while I was in high school, I believe. I think I pulled 405 when I was in grade 12. But I never really, because like my program was I'd go in and max out 3 times a week.
Yeah, me too.
That was all I do.
Yeah, once I started at the gym, that
It
was
was
the deal.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday was deadlift day.
Right.
And then Tuesdays and Thursdays were bicep and shoulder press day.
Yeah.
That was all you hit. I didn't even bench.
Military
I didn't-
press and
but
dumbbells.
I didn't even bench because I was just scared to ask for a spot.
Right.
And it was the grade 12s and stuff, and you're like, oh, they're big.
Yeah.
But I was exposed to a lot of stuff very young. Like we learned how to Olympic lift. It's like I know how to split jerk. I have to refresh it because that was like 10 years ago now. But like I know how to do those things because I had that base in high school.
Okay.
And I'm very lucky that way.
Right.
But it is one of those things where when I look back on it, like, yeah, I don't remember thinking, oh, like I'm putting in the work and it's paying off.
Right.
I was sitting there thinking more, oh, well, I'm just growing up and this is what happens when you grow up. You get stronger.
Right.
Which is obviously partially the case,
Yep.
but it's definitely not entirely the case.
I feel like mine was very similar too, and it wasn't even in high school. It was after I became an adult. I remember getting a gym membership at Superior Fitness in Selkirk, and they had the old school squat rack that was like angled with the bars on it or whatever, and it was just perfect for deadlifts. So you could rack it. I always loaded my deadlift at waist height, strapped in, walked it out, slammed it off the floor as hard as I could to try to get it
I
back
think we
up.
all did that.
Yeah, I remember pulling 3 plates, and one of the older guys in the gym came over and he gave me shit about it. He's like, "You shouldn't be lifting that. That's too heavy for you. You're gonna hurt your back." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Whatever, dude. You're old. Beat it." You know what I mean? So then 315 was like the number to me that meant I was strong. I didn't care about putting any more on, but if I had 3 plates on and I was deadlifting 3 plates, I was strong. I walked out feeling like a king.
Yeah, but I think that's a lot. Like, so you think, oh, if you can bench 225,
Yep.
like, yeah, you were a strong kid.
Yep.
But it's like, you can bench a lot more than 225 nowadays.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I remember when 315 was a distant number, then 400 was a distant number, now 500 is a not so distant number suddenly.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, like if I'd known this a long time ago, pretty interesting.
Right.
I do think though, and like I'm glad that I realized it that way.
Right.
Because by the time that I realized, oh, I can get stronger, I was mature enough where I could do it.
Okay.
And I think that there's not a personal judgment on any of the athletes, especially, or parents who allow participation, but I'm not sure that youth powerlifting is the greatest thing for them. Because I think that, choose my words carefully here, powerlifting is not a technically demanding sport. It's not teaching you proprioception. You're not learning how to move your limbs through space.
Fair enough.
And I think
so
that,
static and linear.
Yeah. And I think that when I was a kid, like my brother and I agree on this. My brother, if you didn't know, Olympic speed skater, we always go back to, we were enrolled in gymnastics as soon as we could walk.
Okay.
And then we did a whole bunch of other sports. Like we did all through high school. I played water polo, ultimate frisbee, basketball, track and field.
Right.
I did curling for years. Like we tried everything.
Okay.
And it built a very wide base.
Fair enough.
And it's something that's very common in a lot of high level athletes where you build a very, very broad base and you specialize.
Then you specialize?
Then you specialize. Yeah. And I think that if you're going to specialize in any sport as a youth, I don't think powerlifting is the one I'd choose.
Probably right, yep. It would be a fun hobby, like something to do on the side, maybe.
Yeah, but I'd probably pick something like football or basketball.
Yeah. But that too, they can get tunnel vision
football,
with that too. Like if you get too linear on a certain sport. Like I see it in hockey.
You can. My argument to that would be if I'm looking at a sport that addresses all qualities of athleticism, powerlifting's not it.
No, 100%.
Football, you will develop strength.
Endurance.
You will develop endurance. You will develop agility and speed.
Resilience. Getting hit, getting
concussions.
So
I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of different sports that I would pick ahead of powerlifting to have a youth specialize in. If a kid goes, I really want to do what mom and dad are doing and I want to do this.
Yep.
Like hey, if my kid was like, I want to do strongman, and he's like 9 years old, I'm like, absolutely, buddy.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
like,
you're not going to stop them for sure.
I'm not going to stop them, but like,
but keep exposing them to other things. Okay, let's play baseball in the summer. Let's play football, hockey, rugby, something.
Well, just do everything. And like, you wonder like these kids, because it's not like, we don't know scientifically, but I do think there's a certain amount of time you can do this. That you have strongman, strength sports. Okay. Eventually it catches up to you.
Yep.
Like eventually the wear and tear and the pounding catches up to you.
That's with any sport, though.
That's with anything.
Yeah,
but
rugby,
most
football.
sports have a much shorter life because it's competitive, right? Yeah. You can be a powerlifter. Doesn't matter how competitive you are, but like if you're, let's put it this way: if you're a football player, right? Either you make college or you don't. So your career ends at high school.
Right.
Okay. Now you go to college. Well, either your career ends at college or you go to the NFL.
Yeah.
Once you make the NFL, you have, resident football fan Shelby, about 10 years?
Yeah, probably.
So you have about 10 years in most positions to make your career.
Yep. Unless you're Bob Cameron.
So unless you're Bob Cameron. Or,
you can kick that ball till you're 60.
Yeah. Or you have outliers and everthing.
Yeah,
but
no,
it's like,
that's not exactly a high impact position. Yeah.
But like, so
but
let's
no,
say
I agree with you though.
The longest football career, you're maybe looking at 20 years.
Yeah, I bet you don't make 40.
Right?
Yep.
Like you're not making a ton of years on it. But with I said powerlifting. Because here's the thing. Even if you wanted to go and play beer league football,
Yep.
like that's not near the level of competitiveness as what you were doing.
Yeah.
And really, even like high school, college, like you're not really, if you're making the NFL, those first 8 years of your career, you weren't really trying.
Right.
Right, you were just like, probably a gifted athlete,
Yeah.
and then you developed it and skilled it.
Yeah.
And the NFL was where you like really came into your own, right?
Yeah.
So with powerlifting, like you can just hang on forever.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
And I think there's a
And we've
beauty,
seen
there's
it,
a beauty to that, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want to be an M3 and you know, hey, your lifts aren't what they used to be, and you can't lock your elbow out of the way, totally respect that. That's awesome.
Yep.
But I mean, all the M3 lifters I know tend to complain about one pain or another.
Yeah.
I think that it's because it's a sport you can just do in a gym,
Right.
and it's very beneficial to just do in a gym. I think that you can be in it for longer, and therefore you can damage yourself more. So I think that when you're a kid, like, hey, go and enjoy the sports that have a shelf life.
Right.
'Cause, I mean, how old are you? 44?
44, yeah.
Okay, if I were to say, hey, Gord, do you want to pick up football this summer? You go, no.
I probably would say yeah, but it's
Probably
a terrible
would say,
idea.
It's a terrible decision, right? I mean,
I don't usually say no.
even for me now,
We
like,
played softball a few years ago, and
that's not a sport.
well, it's hard on the body. It was like my elbows sore all the time. My knees were sore because you're throwing balls. And her brother came out. We did a tournament one weekend, and all we did was go play ball, come back to my house. Everybody had an ice pack. Everybody's icing their elbows. The whole house smelled like horse liniment or A535.
But it
We
wears on
complained.
you.
We got drunk. We
Well,
went back
that
to it the
didn't
next
help.
day.
No, but, I mean,
But that was the
like-
hardest thing on my body, I think, out of any sport that I've done past 30 years old.
Yeah.
Softball
Well,
was
it's that dynamic stuff,
yeah,
right?
and,
that's kind of
and
my
you're in the
argument.
field you're in left field. Okay, you stand there for 2 innings, 3 innings. You don't get a ball hit to you, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden somebody smashes one. Well, now you're in full flight. You're by the fence, and I'm like, I haven't thrown a ball in quite some time. Now I got to hum this thing back in.
Yeah. Oh, there goes the rotator
Yeah,
cuff.
pretty much. It's like, oh, that hurt, boy.
But that's kind of my whole point, right? It's like you can't do those sports as consistently as you get older. Even now,
Oh,
like,
100%, yeah.
I mean, I subbed for my buddy's ultimate team last year, and hey, I'm so good. I end up blowing my ankle because the field's just uneven and all
Yeah,
that crap. Whatever.
That's pretty standard.
Turns out 300 pounds doesn't stop on a dime anymore.
The freight train.
Yeah, yeah.
Need a little bit of area to wind down, right?
I did make an epic diving catch for a touchdown.
Yeah?
But, you know, oh yeah, I still got it.
Is it on
But,
TSN?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, absolutely. My high school was on TSN. Actually, go back to that another time.
Blah, blah, blah. Me.
No, it's because remember it was 2012, I think, when a local high school coach pulled the goalie in the second period.
Right?
That was my high school.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we made TSN, and like the coach was disgraced. And
Yeah, yeah.
It was awful.
Wow.
That was Westwood Collegiate. Yeah. So, but there was.
Did you win?
No, they didn't win.
They didn't win.
No, it was bad. They got like their playoff position revoked, and like the teacher was crying, and like it was
my.
bad. It was
Yeah.
bad.
Wow.
I think that year was the year that they hazed the rookies by shaving their heads.
I can't do
They
that
were all-
anymore.
yeah, they were bad. Yeah. But that's kind of my point, though. Is like when you're young, enjoy those sports because it's fleeting
yeah.
and it goes away.
Yeah.
Like I can still go and sub a basketball game, but I feel it.
Yeah.
I think I went and subbed that one game, and I was out for 2 weeks. I felt like crap.
Yeah.
It was bad. I mean, to be fair, they didn't do anything the whole game. I was the only one playing.
Because you can't handle losing.
I show up and I'm just like, I'm not losing this. Like,
Yeah.
we're not- and then, no, we lost.
For reference, it was a bunch of 14-year-olds, right?
Obviously, yeah, horribly defeated.
Hey, man, you got to teach them how to lose.
Yeah, may or may not have like boxed the guy out of bounds. Just like,
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
well, he was being a little lippy and kind of fouling one of my guys, so I just kind of, got the ball for the 3-point line. I decided to back him down from the 3-point line and dropped a shoulder, and it was starting. So it was
Teach
good.
him a lesson, boy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the
F
ref,
around to find out.
yeah, the ref thought it was hilarious. He's just like, hey, like I'm trying to get rid of him. Just take it a little easier. I'm like, okay, fine.
Break his legs.
Yeah, so pretty much. But it's like, yeah, I can't play those sports now. I wish I could. I love those sports, but
Yep.
it's like, and especially now, I've had to make the choice of like, I'm a strength athlete. I'm not an athlete.
Yeah.
So I told all my buddies, I'm like, do not ask me to sub on your teams. I cannot do it. It is not in me anymore to do this.
Yeah.
So
And what you are doing is more important than
again,
2
like,
hours of having fun.
selfishness and sacrifice,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
you have to
100%,
be able to say, I'm not doing this thing. And look, I loved water polo. I loved ultimate frisbee. Like, they're fun sports. You're outside or you're in a pool. Like, I love being in the water.
Yep. Well, you're a lot lighter in the water.
That too. But no, but I mean,
Sorry.
I grew up.
Sorry, not sorry. You make an old
No,
joke.
honestly, but like I grew up going to Kenora. I was in the lake all the time. I mean, even now, like anytime you got your hot tub open, I'm in there.
Yeah.
Right. Like I love being in the water. I love swimming.
Right.
Like to this day, I can still like get myself high enough where you can like see my waistline if I like, jump out of the water with like treading water and then jumping.
Yeah.
Like I can still move.
I definitely can.
I surprised a couple guys at Westerns because we all went to the little swim thing. And I was swimming laps. They're just like, you can swim like that? I'm like, yeah. But it's one of those things where it's like...
Those guys are just bobbing around like seals. These are my fat friends.
Yeah, Jeffers is just floating on his raft of back hair.
The beard and the back hair just going.
Yeah, that one got Shelby. We broke them both.
Yeah.
Nice. Love you, Jeffers. But so it's one of those things where I think when you're a kid, diversify. You know, like let your kid try things, encourage your kid to try things.
More so when they get focused on one thing. Because kids will, if they're hockey kids want to stay on hockey. So they want to play hockey all summer.
Yeah.
Don't. Yeah.
No, yeah, they got to try stuff. I mean, like, even my boss right now, his kids, they're playing hockey, but they're also playing, you know, softball, volleyball. Like, they're trying things. And if
Different
you're in
athletics,
high school, if you're in high school, just do all the sports.
Do it
and
all.
Figure one out that you like. I mean, like, my brother, for example, he had to specialize towards, I think it was like grade 10 he started specializing. I've got this wrong before when I was on Strong and Petty.
Yeah.
So I've got it wrong before. I know I'll get it wrong again.
Right.
But it's one of those things where I'm like, this is... He had to specialize early, but it was like he was forced to because he was just that high of a level.
That is the exception, though. There are the phenoms that are going to go places with it. It's the parents that are forcing the kid to... That's the part that I don't agree with, is making them do it. When you can have a side conversation with any kid. When I coach hockey, you can have a side conversation with the kid. What do you want to do in the summer? Well, I want to play baseball, but I'm going to be playing hockey.
Yes.
You know,
I think that's when you have to take a step back.
Just take a step back off yourself and let your kid do what they want to do. Let your kid be a kid.
Honestly, that might be the best advice you could have about it.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, that's a pretty good token piece of parenting advice. Let your kid be a kid.
I'm an old man. That's wisdom.
Yes. You've raised 3 kids, so I'd hope you
Yeah.
know a thing or two.
I'm not sure if I did it right, but they're okay.
I mean, really, the verdict's not decided until you're long gone in the ground, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So,
let's not talk about that.
yeah. It's too close for you?
Too close, yeah.
Too close. Okay. Well, apparently the
we're gonna have to
phone
wrap
is
it up?
not charging. We have to wrap this up.
How much time we got?
We're over an hour, so
we're
pretty solid. That's a couple good episodes of good rambling, lengthy hours.
We'll get back on Strongman maybe next week.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about upcoming comps this summer.
It's not really... I also don't want to touch on it too early.
That's fair.
So...
Yeah. We got some weights and stuff for some comps.
We got some weights from stuff, but...
Some decisions that we have to make for...
12 weeks out from even the first comp, I think. So we got time.
2 weeks out from the Arnolds.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jan for coming out.
Shout
Team
out to
Manitoba.
Jan for coming out. Team Manitoba.
Yeah.
We'll get him on the podcast.
We'll get Jan on.
He'd
yeah.
love that. He's so shy and awkward.
It'll be great. Yeah. We'll just make him lead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. Jan, new lead host.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And for all our friends that we're going to see at the Arnolds, we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll wrap that up before the phone dies. So see you next time.
Yeah, baby.